do not necessarily reflect those of Para-X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Supernatural, metaphysical, paranormal. You know, all those things you've been wondering about? Are you ready to go deeper into the realms of the unknown? I hope you've got your walking shoes on, because life is an adventure, and this is the journey. Come on, let's go. Hello and welcome to the show, everyone. It's Wednesday night, and this is the Journey Radio Show. We're showing up as the She-Squatchers again tonight, because we're going to be talking about Bigfoot. And so I've got two trusty teammates on the line with me tonight. I've got the usual Jenna Grover. Hey, Jenna.
Hello, hello, hello.
And tonight we've got our very special Marlo Jane with us. Hey, Marlo.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, so we're really excited to have Marlo on with us tonight. And there's a really special reason why. We've been getting a lot of questions from people about what's happened with us, because we come on the show every week, we talk about Bigfoot, but a lot of times we're talking to other people about their experiences, their encounters, and their research. And even just yesterday, somebody was asking me, how did we get started? And they were asking about my own experience and the She-Squatchers experiences. And I said, funny you should ask, because tomorrow night, that's what we're going to be talking about on the show. So tune in. So hello to everyone who's been asking that question, and feel free to send us their questions, because we're going to be happy to answer those as well. So before we get started with that, I wanted to do a shout out. My good friend Carol sent me a message the other day, and she told me about her dear friend Ari, who Ari's wife is Deb, and then their son is named Blake. And Blake and Deb love Bigfoot. They're Bigfoot everything, Bigfoot. And Blake is such a wonderful young man. He's 4 years old, going to be 5 in September, and he just absolutely loves Bigfoot. One thing about Blake, he's been winning his fight against leukemia. So we want to send a big shout out to Blake. Keep doing it, Blake. You're winning. You're doing a good job, buddy.
And happy early birthday, Blake.
Yes.
Hi, Blake.
So the She-Squatchers send a shout out to Blake and Deb and Ari. Hello, everyone.
Hey, guys.
From all of us in the Bigfoot world. So we wanted to do that. Very exciting. Very exciting. So we've got that out of the way, and on to our show tonight. So the question that somebody asked me yesterday was, how did we get started? So I'm going to tell that story real quick, and then we're going to get into our very first expedition, which Marlo was there for and Jenna was not. So she missed out on a really fun time, didn't she, Marlo?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Exactly. It was a crazy time. So let me just tell you how we got started, because that's one of the things that people ask me a lot. And they always ask, how did you get interested in Bigfoot? I'm going to tell you, I was not interested in Bigfoot. I didn't believe in Bigfoot. I was more of a paranormal girl. And I'm a psychic medium. I had done missing persons cases. I had been doing a lot of paranormal investigation work with different teams and remote viewing for them. And I had a radio show here on the Para-X radio network, and I scored an awesome interview with Lauren Coleman. He's the cryptozoologist who has the International Cryptozoology Museum in the state of Maine. And during that interview, he spoke so highly of Bigfoot, and he was so interesting and so scientific that it was contagious. His enthusiasm about Bigfoot was contagious. And I had asked him also, did he really believe that Bigfoot was real? And he thinks that, yes, Bigfoot is real. And so that meant a lot to me. But then he had another idea. He said that he thought that the recipe for success in finding and interacting with Bigfoot would be to send women into the woods without men, dogs, or guns. Interesting idea. He said that he had different ideas of why that would be good. For one, he said that, women generally have a good rapport with the great apes. And he used examples like Jane Goodall and her work with the chimpanzees, and there have been many others. And he said that men have a pheromone that he thinks the great apes just don't like, and he felt that could extend also to Bigfoot. So again, women wouldn't have that pheromone. And then another reason, he said that most of the time when people see Bigfoot near a roadway, it's not a family unit of Bigfoot, mom, dad, and the kids out for a stroll. It's typically a younger male who's out on his own, probably doing all the things he's not supposed to be doing. And so he felt that these younger male Bigfoots would be a little more apt to come in a little closer to take a look at some ladies out in the woods by themselves if they didn't have anything threatening with them, like men, dogs, or guns. So those were his ideas, and I jokingly volunteered right off the bat. But by the end of the show, I was seriously volunteering. So that's kind of how we got started. It was all Lauren Coleman's idea. You can blame him. So Lauren Coleman, big shout out to him. We love you. He's awesome.
He is awesome. If you're listening, Lauren, love you. Call us. No, I'm kidding.
Seriously.
Actually, yeah, you can. I'd love to show you guys around.
Yes. So it's been a while since I think I saw Lauren in, when is Jason's birthday? When is Jason's birthday?
May?
That's the last time I was Jason's birthday, the last time I saw Lauren. He
oh my gosh, that's right. Because I missed him. I'm so sad. They took this awesome picture. Her and Tammy took this awesome picture with Lauren Coleman, and it looked so friggin' cool. And I wanted to put my face in there, but I knew it just wouldn't look right. But you guys, I'm so jealous.
Awesome. It's
been a while.
Yes. So I just got to see him in May, so that was awesome. We got to hang out with him a little bit, so that was really fun. So that's how we got the idea to start the team. And of course, Marlo was on board right away. She wanted to be out there with us.
Oh, yes.
So Marlo, did you believe in Bigfoot?
I was always I wasn't sure. And when I met you, when I started getting really more into the paranormal, I thought, this makes sense. There's so many sightings, so much information out there. It's just not possible that everyone is just creating this big conspiracy theory, this big, just giant farce. And I'm thinking, okay, there's got to be something more to this. I want to go out there and look myself. So I was so excited when this team was founded. Very excited.
Yes. So you did or you did not really believe in Bigfoot?
I wasn't really one way or the other. For me, it was really kind of one of those things where I at the time, it was kind of the same as ghosts were, where I kind of thought they were there, but I didn't know for sure because I hadn't seen anything for myself. And obviously I hadn't seen a Bigfoot or had a Bigfoot sighting or anything. So I didn't know one way or the other, and I wanted to find out more.
Awesome. So when we planned our very first outing, we decided to go to a place where Bigfoot had been seen recently. And that was that's the sighting. I'll tell you about the sighting. A young Native man was out in his canoe fishing on a lake called 6 Mile Lake in Minnesota. And that's near a small little town on an Indian reservation in Minnesota called Bena, Minnesota. Okay, tiny little town. There's a cafe, which has an attached bar, all in one building, and then there's a gas station, convenience store, all in one little. That's it. That's all they have. So, and then there's lakes right there. So, land of 10,000 lakes we have here in Minnesota. So, this younger Native man was out fishing on his canoe on 6 Mile Lake. And let me just tell you a little bit about 6 Mile Lake. It's probably about 6 miles to drive around it. Pretty simple, right? Yes, in the chat room, somebody's asking, is that near Bemidji? Yeah, it is kind of near Bemidji. I'm gonna guess 30-40 minutes out of Bemidji. I'm guessing at this point. It's been a while. So anyway, on one side of the lake, there's homes and cabins, and it's a really long lake. really long and a thin lake, but it's long. So on one side of the lake, you have the cabins along the lake shore and docks and whatnot. On the other side of the lake, it's just woods. There's no homes, there's nothing except a road, which is called Reservation Highway 20. Don't let that name fool you. This doesn't look like any highway you have ever seen.
It's not a highway.
It is, though. If you look at it on the map, it says Reservation Highway 20.
On the map, sure. In person, no.
So, Marla, what does it look like?
It is a dirt road. It was so scary. It was like one of those horror movies, but like the cabin in the middle of nowhere on this lonely dirt road. It would just kept on going forever. And I thought, okay, it's gotta end somewhere. We gotta like turn around or something, but it just kept on going. And there were these steep ravines on both sides. Oh, it was so crazy. So fun though.
We got to see it during the day first. We went out there during the day. We scoped out the areas, and then that we were planning to go back when it got dark. So we got to see it during the day. I'm glad we got to see it during the day and not just went out there at night, because it was really spooky out there at night. And so I want to give you the picture of what this place looks like. It's not just a road that skips the side of the lake. You can't even see the lake. It's dense forest on this side, dense forest on the other side, and it is a one-car road. It's gravel. It's like a minimum maintenance road, and in one car, not just two cars passing each other. If theirs comes another car, somebody has to back up because there's only room for one car on this road. Okay, so if we're gonna stop on the road, park there, and get out, you're stopping in the middle of the road. There's no place to pull off. There are little chutes of small roads that shoot off of there for logging, for the people that do some logging back there. But they're not maintained roads at all. I mean, it's an old gravel road. Definitely not what you would consider a highway. Definitely not. Okay, so I think it's funny that they call it Reservation Highway 20. I just think it's funny. So we're on the side of the lake where there are no homes, and it's just forest, dense forest on both sides of the road, right up on the road. There's not even like width or anything. It's just right there. And the sighting that had happened was this young native man was fishing in his canoe on 6 Mile Lake, and we heard that he had launched from the public boat launch. When I looked at the map of this lake, there is only one public boat launch, and it's on the side of the lake where all the cabins and houses are. And when I looked at that, I thought, that just doesn't seem right to me. That seems way too public for there to be a Bigfoot right there in the lake, because the Bigfoot was reportedly in the lake up to his knees, walking in the shallows, kind of stalking this young man in his canoe as the man was trying to come into the shore after he was done fishing. The light was going down. He was losing sunlight, and he was trying to come back in and, put his boat up on the shore and go home. As he approached, there was a Bigfoot standing in the shallows, and it was moving aggressively towards him. So he stayed out deeper, and he kept moving along the shoreline, and the Bigfoot was following him along the shoreline, but staying in the shallows. So he was there doing this for a couple hours. He had lost his cell phone power on his phone, so he couldn't call for help. His family and friends knew where he was, that he was out there fishing alone. And so when he didn't come home at dark, like he would normally do, eventually somebody came looking for him. So somebody pulled up to the boat launch in a car and started honking and flashing their headlights. And that scared the Bigfoot away. He watched it run into the woods and paid attention to where it had gone in. And so then he was able to come into shore. And the next day in the sunlight, they went back out there and looked for footprints in the area where the Bigfoot had gone back into the woods. And they found some amazing footprints out there. And because it was a really muddy area. And that forest in there is really dense and thick. There's a lot of little wetlands in there. And when we had gone out there, they had cut a pathway back there because the Finding Bigfoot TV crew had come and looked at that shortly before we had got there. So they cut a path right back to where the footprints had been found. So that was pretty lucky for us that they'd cut a path. But we didn't know that that path was there. We didn't know exactly where this boat launch was. They just said a public boat launch. And the only one that we knew about was this one on the other side of the lake, which it wasn't that one. And we didn't find that out until a couple weeks later. So when we were there during the day, we're driving around, getting out of the car, looking at areas that seem interesting, looking for any signs or evidence of Bigfoot. And again, I'm going to be honest. I didn't believe in Bigfoot. I really didn't. I have an open mind. I was like, well, there's been a lot of reports. But, you know, I grew up in Minnesota. I was always in the woods. I'm part Native American. I was raised on the land. We grew, raised, hunted, and gathered everything we ate, except for like flour and yeast and chocolate chips, which are a necessity, by the way. And so, you know, I grew up on the land and I was always in the woods and often out there by myself as a child. I never, ever saw anything to make me believe that there was such a thing as a Bigfoot in Minnesota. So I didn't really think that there was anything to this. But being open-minded and open to an adventure, I went out to look. So here we are. I'm, you know, being a psychic medium and an energy worker, I feel energy on a physical level. Like when I say I feel an energy here, I'm not saying I'm getting a good vibe or whatever. It's not some, ooh, I just feel nice feeling. It's a physical sensation in my body. And you know, it I just want to explain that to other people because I know what other people think sometimes when they hear, oh, this has got some good energy. You know, it's not just
Zen.
It's not just a Zen feeling. It's literally, I feel a vibration running through my whole body. It feels like a wave of vibration. Sometimes the back of the hairs on the back of my neck will stand up, you know, or I'll get, you know, goosebumps from head to, I mean, it's a very physical sensation. And I know that you girls know what I'm talking about. So,
absolutely.
So when we had this idea of going out and looking for Bigfoot, without men, dogs, or guns, which is Lauren Coleman's idea, like I said. My idea, side note, was, hey, why don't we also use our psychic abilities to see if we can narrow this down a little bit? You know, I'm a little bit older now. I'm not as young as I used to be. I don't go hiking in the woods for weeks on end anymore. But, you know, I'm not a big burly guy, you know, like some guys out there that do that. But that's their strong point. My strong point, I can sense things. And maybe they don't have those senses as strongly as I do. So I'm going to use what is strong for me. And that's what that is. So my side experiment, other than the all-female Bigfoot experiment, was, can we use our senses to help us find Bigfoot, get closer to Bigfoot, interact with Bigfoot, get Bigfoot on video, something. Can we do that? And so when we were out there looking during the day, we had stopped at various places. I'd love to stop where there's mud to see if there's any footprints. And we stopped various places and we looked all day. We looked all day along this lake on the side where there weren't houses. We did go to the boat launch that was the public boat launch that was listed. And I'm just like, yeah, this just doesn't seem like the place. And it wasn't. The public boat launch that they were talking about was actually on the side of the lake with no homes. And it was where a house used to be, but had been tore down years ago. And there isn't a dock there. It's just a place where the locals will launch their canoes from, basically. So it's not necessarily listed anywhere as a boat launch area. It's just the locals know that it's there and they use that. So, and actually there are a couple canoes that sit down there on a regular basis where people just leave their canoes there for use. They don't have to haul their boat there, you know, all over. Big Bird is in the chat room. It says, Big Bird says, I feel energy all over like a wave. I use mine a lot while driving. I can feel a cop a mile away. Works well for me. Never a ticket.
Go big with Big Bird.
Big Bird, yeah.
All right, go Big Bird.
I wonder if we know Big Bird. Do we know Big Bird? Big Bird, what's your real name? We want to know. Oh, I see Snooky's in the chat room too. Hi,
Hey,
Snooky. That's Darla. So, yo, Darla.
Hey, Darla.
So, oh, it's Anna. Hello, Anna. Nice.
Hey, Anna.
So, there we go. Okay, so when we were out there during the day, we stopped at one spot that I felt this unique energy sensation that I had never felt before. It was a completely new energy sensation that I felt there. Marlo, did you feel any energy at that one spot?
I just remember, I'm not sure which spot you're referring to right now. I just remember the one, and we went in the evening, and that's when things got crazy. That's when I started definitely feeling something. I would feel like little bits here and there, but it was hard to tell if it was actually from Bigfoot, if it was from our excitement from everyone else in the group. So hard to tell.
Okay. So that spot, when we were stopping during the day, I was feeling an energy there during the day. We didn't find any evidence there that would lead us to believe that Bigfoot was right there when we were there during the day, other than this unique energy feel that I had. So I was marking GPS coordinates, that places we could return to that night. And I was marking them on my phone and sending messages to somebody who wasn't with us, so that if we disappeared, I'm like, this is where we are. This is where we are. This is where we are. But it was also good for me to be able to mark places that we want to return to, as I was making a record of those GPS coordinates. So then we were going down the road, and we stopped many places. We were looking in, especially in muddy spots, to see if we could find any footprints. When we got to the top, of the lake, and I'm going to see if I can do a shared screen here for the girls that are with me, so that they can see the pictures that I'm start sharing. Here we go. Okay, so this here is in my shared screen. This is the picture of the lake that from the top of the lake. So there's this, that was actually standing on the little bridge. And this is on the other side. It's a wetland, a grassy wetland. And I remember just like peering into that, wondering if Bigfoot walks across that wetland and those grasses, and just this grassy field of a wetland. And then this is a really bad pixelated picture, but this is the road going into the woods, then on that little reservation Highway 20.
And mind you, this is actually a mild photo of what was actually there. This is as we're going into the woods.
Easy,
yeah, this is an easy spot of the road. It gets a lot. Oh, that's an awesome picture.
There's Marlo. Yeah, night vision. Awesome.
Night vision. It's so not nice.
I downloaded these from our website just to get quick access to these pictures. So this is horribly pixelated, but this is actually a picture of the road going over the bridge where there isn't woods right on the edge. But this is the width of the road.
Isn't this when we thought there was something outside and it ended up being an animal?
Nope, that was before we hit the top of the lake.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was at the top of the lake. But just showing how dark it was. Let's see. This is actually back in the woods. It's very thick. This is where the Finding Bigfoot team had cut away. So I know we're on the radio and most of the people can't hear this, so I'm gonna stop talking about the pictures. Okay, so we were I'm gonna go back to not sharing my screen. Stop sharing. There we go. Are we not sharing anymore? That's good. Okay, awesome. So we kept going down the road after that one spot where we had found that energy feeling, and we'd get out and look, and we looked all day, really. And I will be sharing a video of this on our YouTube channel later, so you can see the pictures later, because Big Bird's like, I want to see the pictures. So we'll be doing that later. The pictures just aren't very good quality because I was grabbing them real quick and there wasn't really time to go back in our old picture files. So I was pulling them off our website. So the download of them is like, oh, not so great. But
I do have a bunch that I could share with you too. I had a lot of pictures that I took that day.
Oh, we should share those on our Facebook page. So after the shows, let's do that. So when we got up to the top of the lake where the bridge was and where was the opening, where that field was on one side and the lake was on the other, we were just walking down this gravel road. And most of us had walked past, and somebody just told me to turn around and look back. So I turned around and I looked back. And when I looked back at the road, I saw footprints that I didn't see walking in. And I took a little bit closer look. And if you remember, Marlo, they were very hard to see, but they were very large barefoot footprints that were on the gravel road. It looked like it had rained, something had walked there, and then it dried. It wasn't anything that you could cast. It wasn't deep at all. You could easily miss it, which we did miss it as we walked by. But after we saw them, we started taking pictures of them with the, dollar bills. So they were very hard to see. But me being the tallest one on the team, I tried to see, could I match the stride of these footprints? Because we were seeing them going for a long time. It's a trackway. And so I'm running and leaping next to these to see if I can match the stride. Not even close. Not even close. And so that was quite interesting. These were quite large footprints. Now, let me tell you, we weren't prepared to find footprints. We didn't have casting material with us. We didn't even have a tape measure with us. I mean, we did not expect to find something on our very first try. We did not expect this at all. So to find something like that was really incredible. So that we were excited. We were like, yay, we were doing little dances. We found something, and that's where I was really looking at that grassy field, the marshy grassy field, wondering, did Bigfoot walk through that and then up onto this road and, took the bridge over to the other side? We always know that animals will take the path of least resistance. And of course, this little gravel road that rarely a soul travels is probably the path of the least resistance, right? And so that was that. So that was exciting for us. So we called it a day and we went to Real Rest for a little while to get something to eat. And we decided we were going to come back after the sun went down. And that's when it got pretty crazy. That's when everything got pretty crazy. But right now we're about to the halfway mark of the show. So we're going to take our 2-minute break and we're going to be back with the rest of the story. Stay tuned, everybody. Awesome.
Yay.
Yay. It's going by so fast.
It has.
Yeah, we got to get into the other part of the story. Yes.
I don't know. I was going to say something and I thought, why would you ask that? You're on film.
I'm glad you stopped yourself.
Right.
Exactly. Got my energy drink going on.
You know what? I've been drinking a Kickstart probably 3 mornings out of 7. Getting addicted to caffeine is not on my agenda list. So
the taste of those like
so yummy.
Really, compared to like Red Bull.
No taurine taste. It's
okay.
It's really like my favorite is a fruit juice, and it's just like, ooh, it's so good.
Like the Red Bull is just so sweet, and
it is
really.
I like it. I like it though. I like that tang of Red Bull. It's just too wild for me. I just can't handle that.
I'm really a Kickstart girl. Raspberry citrus is my favorite, but they're out of it right now at the store.
They're out of it at a lot of stores.
They better not be discontinuing that, or there's going to be a problem.
They won't if they hear you're drinking it.
There's going to be a problem.
All we need is Tammy, and we have like a nice team.
What was that, Sarge?
Ten. And roll.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm Jen Cruz, and this is the Journey Radio Show. We're talking about Bigfoot, so we're showing up as the She-Squatchers tonight. Would you please go check out our website at SheSquatchers.com? And hey, we have been challenged to a subscriber race by another YouTuber. So please help us win this challenge, because right now we're losing. And so we need your help. We need you to go to our YouTube channel and hit subscribe on our YouTube channel, which is She-Squatchers Official. So please help us out by doing that, everybody. Go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. And hey, that's all we ask you to do. And then if you want to check out our Facebook page, that's where all the most up-to-date information is going on. So back to our story. We're on our first expedition. We've chosen our spots that we're going to go to during the day. We've chosen them that we're going to return to at night. There are 5 of us girls there that night, and Marlo was there. So we go back out there. The first place that we're going to stop is the place that we didn't find anything during the day that would make us think Bigfoot was there, but it had that interesting energy feel that I had never felt before. So I'm like, this is an interesting spot, and we need to come back to this spot. So that was the first place that we stopped at night. We stopped the car, of course, in the middle of the road because there's nowhere to pull off. And we get out of the car. One of our teammates had borrowed a thermal camera from a friend. And it was one of those where you pull the trigger and it takes a picture. That's all she knew that it did. She didn't know that it could take video, which it could have, but she didn't know that. And therefore I didn't know that. So she hands it to me as she gets out of the car, because she is going to the back hatch with everybody else to get their gear. And so here's me holding the thermal camera, getting excited to play with this in the dark. So now I'm scanning the woods, right, with this thermal camera. It's got this tiny little screen on it. And I'm looking to see if anything's going to show up red hot, with body temperature. And I'm scanning, going across the woods. And pretty soon I'm pointing it out in front of the car onto the road. If we had continued driving, I'm pointing it out in front of the car. And there is someone standing there. And so I'm seeing this person, head, shoulders, arms, torso, 2 legs, standing out in front of the car. Showing up as red and yellow body temperature on the thermal camera. And so I immediately assumed that this was one of my teammates who grabbed her gear and walked out in front of the car, because you can't see anything out there. It is so dark. It was so dark. You couldn't see anything. So I'm looking and I'm like, hey, who's out in front of the car? Nobody answered.
No one.
I said, who's out in front of the car? Nobody answered. I asked it again and again with more anxiety in my voice, I suppose. And pretty soon Marlo hears.
I popped out from behind where I was getting my stuff. I'm like, I don't think anyone's up there. We hadn't really walked. It hadn't been that long that we were there. So it really didn't give anybody a chance unless they were to run. But I remember seeing what you saw on the camera too. It was crazy.
Yeah, it looked like somebody was standing out there.
Exactly.
About maybe 50 feet in front of the car. I'm guessing that's how far away it was. And it's showing up as somebody red with a little bit of yellow, the whole body. And it's a person. It looks like a person standing there. And
so can I ask a
wasn't
question?
An animal.
So does this prove that, Bigfoot can be captured on infrared or thermal? Thermal?
That was a thermal. It was a FLIR.
Okay.
It was a cheap FLIR. And it wasn't on black hot or white hot. It was on the one where it shows up red as body temperature, red and yellow. And again, this was my first time holding it, so I didn't know how to switch through it was brand new to me. It wasn't my gear. It was somebody else had borrowed it from somebody. So it was really not our piece of equipment at all. So, and typically Jenna is the owner of all the great equipment that we have nowadays. So she's the one who knows how to use everything anyway, not me. So, so I'm looking at it, and Marlo comes running up from the back of the truck, and she's like, "What's going on?" And she looks at the camera, and apparently she saw what I was seeing there. And the next thing I know, she says, "Oh, I just saw eyes." Marlo, do you want to tell what you saw?
It was it was just this flash of bright eyes. I don't even remember if they were red or white. I believe they were white. And it was just these flash of eyes. That's all I could see. I couldn't really see the body or anything. It was just crazy. And then it just kind of snowballed from there, and we're seeing or hearing things, and it was nuts. Definitely very happy that we went back and checked that place out at night. Although if I would not have gone there by myself for sure.
I don't think anybody'd want you to. That was scary.
Yes, it was so dark.
And it was so dark, and you couldn't see anything, really. You couldn't see anything. So when I heard her say she saw eyes, I immediately looked up from the camera screen to see if I could see eyes, and I didn't. And then I looked back down, and I couldn't find it again. I couldn't find the thermal image again. And I looked and couldn't find it. Hindsight, what did I realize much, much later? Not even that day or the day after, but much later, it hit me. What I saw did not have clothes on. What I saw did not have clothes on, because when you look at somebody on our team, they had a different color coming from them where they had clothes on. It wasn't piping hot red, right? But what we were seeing on the thermal image was not wearing clothing.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Is that what you saw too, Marlo? Yes. I don't know how long you looked at it before you looked over to see.
Well, because normally you would, and I saw the other team members too, you could see the coat and you could see the outline of, their clothing that they were wearing, and there wasn't any. It was just person, or what looked like the outline of a person.
Yeah. Yep. And it was all red. It wasn't, it was very
there was
little
no
yellow.
Yeah, no variation.
So it did not have clothes on, which was completely a hindsight realization going, hey, that didn't have clothes on. Okay, that was interesting. That was very, very interesting. So, and then it was gone. So we couldn't find it again on the thermal. So we just needed to continue with our investigation. So 3 of us decided we were going to walk that way, because it seemed to have been towards the left part of the road, more so than the right. It wasn't like in the middle of the road. It was on the left. So we decided to go in the woods towards the left. And we took a few steps, and what happen? We started to hear a rock coming down through the trees. We didn't know what it was. We just heard something coming through the branches in the trees. And then all of a sudden you see something bounce in front of us, about 3 feet in front of us. And I said, "Is that a rock?" And Marlo's like, "I think it is a rock." And then here comes another one.
And another one. And it wasn't like, somebody accidentally kicked a rock and it went flying. No, this was like coming down from the tops of the trees. Like, there aren't rocks just hanging out up there. So obviously someone or something had to have thrown that purposefully in our direction, not to hit us, but just to let us know, hey, we're here.
Mm-hmm. And I took it as, don't walk this way. That was the message I got from that. Don't walk this way. And I can't even remember how many. It was quite a few rocks that came. And we just stood there, and I was in shock. Okay, now I'm going to just be honest. I didn't know a lot about Bigfoot. I knew almost nothing about Bigfoot. Again, I didn't believe in Bigfoot. I had seen maybe a handful of Finding Bigfoot episodes on TV. That's it. I did not know at that time that Bigfoot was known for throwing rocks at people. Didn't know. So this was a complete shocker for me. And in hindsight, I think back on this night and I go, okay, I saw something on the thermal that wasn't wearing clothes, and it wasn't one of us in the pitch black night. And then I decided to walk into the woods that way. How smart was this? And then I'm like, what was I thinking? It's like I was Jenna or something. Jennifer.
Yeah, I kind of do just go do it.
Jenna, we always tease Jenna about being so fearless all the time. She just goes and goes and goes. She doesn't stop to think, is this dangerous? She doesn't stop to think that. She's just like, let's do it. I want to go in there.
I do not go into very dangerous situations, but if it's something I can go in and there's no animals in there, gall darn right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't always know if there's no animals in there till she gets in there, but just saying.
Maybe I'm the anima.
So here we are. We're, the rocks are coming. They're landing a few feet in front of us. They're about 50-cent size to a dollar coin size rocks. They're not like huge boulders being hurled at our heads. They obviously weren't trying to hit us. But you could hear them coming down through the branches of the trees, and they were coming through the branches and they'd land in front of us. And so this was just bizarre. For me, it was completely bizarre. So we decided not to go that way. We walked back out in front of the car and stood on the road and joined the other two that were with us. And then one of them decided, hey, let's do a Bigfoot call. I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. So one of them did a Bigfoot call and we just stood there, waited to hear if anything replied. Now we have all kinds of night vision cameras. The majority of the girls on the team that night were paranormal investigators. So they had night vision cameras that were set up and equipped to do house investigations in the dark for hauntings and stuff. They were awesome video cameras for that in the dark. However, we found out that night that the equipment, even though it's awesome night vision equipment, isn't very powerful to penetrate the woods at night. It's just not strong enough to see very far into the woods. So that was something that we learned that night. After she did the Bigfoot call, we stopped and listened, and pretty soon we heard movement. Something started walking towards us in the woods, and it was very big. You could hear that this was a large something with 2 feet walking, bipedal movement that was walking and cracking big sticks as it was coming. And we all pointed our cameras at it, at the noise. We pointed our cameras at it. None of us could see it. None of us could see it. Now, part that could have been in part because our cameras just weren't strong enough to penetrate in the night. In the night vision, they were made more for doing indoor paranormal investigating in haunted houses in the dark. They weren't made to penetrate the darkness of the woods very far. So we weren't able to see really far into the woods with these. But tell me, what were you thinking at the time, Marlo? Here we got the sound coming. What's going on?
I remember, wasn't it around that time too that we heard giggling and laughing?
That was later.
Oh, was it later? Okay. I was thinking, okay, there's something there. We can't see it. What is it? I was so curious. I wanted to know what was going on. I was so excited because I had never really been on any type of journey like that before, or paranormal investigation even. So I was so excited, and I knew there was something out there. I could feel it. I mean, it was such an intense energy when this was all happening. It was so crazy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So we've got this, something's walking towards us. We can't see it. We put all the cameras at it. We can't see it. We lit up the forest, still can't see it. And all of a sudden the sound duplicated, like it multiplied. So now there's something coming at us from different directions. Same type of thing walking towards us, something big. And we circled up back to back facing out. And we just did that like as a defensive stance automatically. We hadn't planned this. We hadn't talked about what we do if we felt like we were in trouble. But to be honest, we kind of felt like we were in trouble. We were getting surrounded. And so we hear this coming. We can't see anything. To be honest, I didn't know what to do. I kept trying to see, are we in danger? I couldn't feel danger. But the majority of the team was pretty scared.
Well,
And
that makes it even more scary, is the fact that you can't see what it is. So you're just left wondering, well, what the heck, what's going to happen next? Where is this going? It's just crazy.
yes. So at that point in time, one of the teammates said, Jen, do your tobacco thing. Now, we were on an Indian reservation, an Ojibwe Indian reservation in northern Minnesota. I am part of Ojibwe, so and what she meant was do one of your prayers. So I took the tobacco out of my pocket, I held it in my left hand, and I did an Ojibwe prayer in the Ojibwe language. And I called out to the little people, miigwech me miigwechig. And then I called out to Bigfoot, miigwech kichisabe. And as soon as I said miigwech kichisabe, which is basically thank you, Bigfoot, okay, everything stopped. Everything stopped. There was no more movement toward us. There was no retreating away from us. The movement just stopped. And we just stood there.
So how were you guys feeling at this time when it just stopped? Like, what were you guys feeling? Like, is this really stopped, or were you expecting more? How did you feel about it?
At the time, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was, okay, it stopped, but what's going to happen now? I was just waiting for something else to happen, or the next thing to happen.
And I was thinking, oh my gosh, it stopped. It understood me. It understood what I said. That's what I was thinking. And so I was like, yeah, this was really promising to me. I was excited about that.
I will say that the energy shifted. It wasn't at that point. It wasn't so freaky like it was. Not that it really felt dangerous, because it didn't, but it just felt weird. And then after you did the prayer, it would just felt very light and not as intense, I guess.
So that was the interesting part to me, is that it responded to me saying thank you, Bigfoot. And now the team didn't know what I said. They don't speak Ojibwe, so they didn't know I had said thank you, Bigfoot, and then it stopped. That part they didn't know until later. They just knew I was talking in words that they didn't understand, right?
Slytherin, right? Slytherin is what they call it. No, I'm kidding.
So for me, this was exciting. I was like, it stopped as soon as I thanked Bigfoot. That was really proof to me that this was really cool. The stories from the tribe are that Bigfoot is our big brother. He looks out for us. So to me, that meant I just introduced myself in the Ojibwe language, and I thanked Bigfoot, and Bigfoot stopped. Like, it stopped. Okay, so then one of our teammates said, hey, because we're just standing there going, what do we do now? And I honestly didn't know what else to do at that point. We've got some interaction going on here, which is what we wanted, but to be honest, we were really not prepared for this. Not prepared. We did not expect this to happen, especially our first time. So, be honest, not prepared, didn't know what else to do. Somebody says, hey, let's leave and go to the other place where we found the footprints earlier today. And I said, hey, that's a good idea. So we all jumped in the car and we left. Okay. So we went over to where we went along down the miles down the road, down to the other side. And, we went to where the footprints were, and there was really nothing going on there, except we did see some lights coming up out of the water. Some of those weird, strange lights that we videoed before on our YouTube channel at She-Squatchers Official. Go check it out, called Strange Lights. That was at a different location not far from there, that we had recorded those lights. Really cool. But there was really, it really felt completely different over there. It didn't feel like there was a Bigfoot nearby. Where at the other place we had just left, we felt like we were among Bigfoot, and we really felt like there was something going on there. So we're like, okay, well, what do we do now? I said, let's go back. Let's go back, right? So some of the others, they were in the car, and they're like, I'm not sure that I really want to find Bigfoot anymore. This is way scarier than I thought it would be. No. I'm not sure I really want to do this.
There was a
And
lot of second guessing going on.
yeah, some of them were more terrified than others. So, and then somebody said, I'm not even sure who said it because they were in the back seat. Somebody said, I'm not sure I want to see Bigfoot. Maybe Bigfoot could just walk out in front of the car and we could take a picture, and that would be good. That would be good. But this, I don't know if I want to get out of the car. So I mean, we were laughing at how scared people were, but no joke, they really were scared. So we went back to that spot where we had just left because we didn't know what else to do. We get out there, we get out of the car. And we're looking around, and then that's when we heard a sound. Now, I did share the audio clip of the sound on our website and one of the blogs about sound, and I can share that in the chat room. I'll share the link to the blog, and you can go and after the show and listen to that, and I'll tell you how to find it, the audio file. And I didn't have, I don't think I still have the audio file to send it to Sarge to play it live on the show anymore anyway. So I thought about sending it to him. I'm like, I don't even think I still have that to even send him anymore. But we heard this sound, and we had it recorded on multiple devices. And I remember Marla going, what was that? What was that? And what did you think of the sound? Because it sounded like a mixture of, to me, it sounded like a mixture of a barred owl, but not quite a barred owl. What did you think, Marlo?
I wasn't sure what the heck that was. Because didn't we hear that like just before we heard laughing? Or we heard something off in the distance? I remember, I wasn't sure. I had never really heard, I've heard owls, but it sounded a little bit different, at least to me anyway. So I wasn't sure what that was.
Okay. The only sound that I remember is this one that we got recorded here. So I'm going to share that in the chat room, the link to that, so people can go and listen to that after. And so for those who are not able to be in the chat room right now, or hearing this as a recording on the network that isn't live, if they're catching it later, you can go to SheSquatchers.com and go to our blog. And then the blog was from September 8th, 2016, and it's called Bigfoot Call Caught on Recording ? And that's where the audio files of that are. There's one audio file, and then there's a video file that contains also another recording of the audio. So you can go listen to it. It kind of sounds like a barred owl, but not. And, I don't even think that I told this to Jenna. I think that in all the craziness that was going on when we were in Washington at the Sasquatch Summit in November of this last year, we were there, and I got to talk to David Ellis, and he's one of the guys that does the sound analyses of sounds that people are recording in their Bigfoot research. Okay, and he can analyze it with his computer. He has a computer program, and you can put a sound through there, and it will identify the animal that made that sound based on frequency. Okay, now if you remember on one of our older shows we had before we were doing any video stuff, we had the mics from Ohio Night Suckers on, and they had their recordings of Bigfoot from the Ohio woods that David Ellis had analyzed, and he said it came up as an primate animal larger than a baboon in the state of Ohio. Unknown primate animal in the state of Ohio larger than a baboon is how that sound came up, because there's frequencies in the sounds that human ears can't hear, but the computer can pick it up and can tell what made that sound. Okay, so when we were in Washington in November at the Sasquatch Summit, David Ellis was there, and I pulled out my earbuds and I pulled up our website on that blog, and I said, here, can you listen to this sound? He listened to both of the recordings. He said, that's the same recording. I said, it's two different recordings of the same thing. It's from two different devices. When he listened to it really close on one of them, he said, oh my gosh, he goes, first it's a barred owl. Then he's like, wait a minute, there's something else there. That's not a barred owl. So he said, it's something that sounds like a barred owl, but isn't. He's like, there's sound there that isn't barred owl. So he was gonna look at it in his computer, but I think he forgot. And I need to get a hold of him and have him analyze that, because he was really excited to check it out later. And that's when he asked if we would be participating in his project for analyzing of sound. So to collect sounds that might be Bigfoot. And I said, of course, we would love to be part of your project. So that's really awesome. So that was really interesting. So that was the sounds. And then everybody was like, oh my gosh. And everybody else got in the car and was like, we're done. We're done. Because whatever it was really close. And it sounded way speak. I've heard owls in the woods before at night. It didn't sound like that. It was so much louder. It was so much louder.
It was almost like Bigfoot was trying to pretend to be an owl. Something like that, as if people know what that sounds like.
Exactly.
It's almost, yeah, like he was just trying to pretend to be an owl I don't know. I mean, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility, that's for sure.
Yes. And so that was kind of the feeling that I got about it too. Like that could potentially be something. And so that's why we put it out there for other people to listen. So I'm really excited for David Ellis to analyze that in his computer program, which he said he could pull it off of our website and do that. So that's really awesome. I can't wait for him to do that. Oh my gosh, look at the time. We're coming to the end of the show already. Okay, so Marlo, tell us, what are your thoughts about that evening?
Oh, that is by far the most exciting night. Oh my goodness. I have wanted to go back there. We should totally go back there again and see what it feels like now, just to kind of compare and see if there's some similarities. But I had so much fun. And I know it was scary there for a little bit. I was never really terrified. I mean, it was spooky, but I like to be kind of spooked sometimes. So I had a lot of fun though. Definitely.
Yes. And so here's the other part. We did go back there the next morning. We did. We went to have breakfast. I said, we need to go back there. We're just like, 5-10 minutes down the road from it. We need to go back out there. There was some hesitation from the others who didn't want to go. And I basically got kind of mean about it. And I said, listen, we cannot be Bigfoot researchers and not go check this out. It's daytime now. We can go look and find the footprints. We have to go look to see if there's footprints there. We cannot not do that. So finally, okay, fine. So we went out there and the others wouldn't stay. So then it was just, it was unfortunate that everybody else was riding in one car. So it was a good time. It was very exciting. And Marla, we have gone back out there. Jenna's been there. Jenna's been out there. I did go back to that spot a few weeks after that again, and it felt different again. And we actually found the location where it was actually where the actual boat launch, and we were so close to it. We were so close to it where that happened. So we actually found the really good hot spot right there. So very exciting stuff. Thank you, Marlo, for coming on the show tonight to share that story.
No problem.
And
my pleasure.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on the Journey Radio Show. Good night, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Good night. Thanks for watching.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Sarge.